Hello everyone, Ron here from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and this week's video is entitled Don't Hate Math. Make math your friend. And really? Can you make math your friend? Well, yes you can. A lot of people hate math, and these are not just students. Sometimes they're adults and they've been around a long time and they hate math, never liked math, never understood it, and it remains for them a sort of mystery. And yet, with math, you can get 100% on a quiz or a test, because once you learn and you plug in the numbers correctly, you use the proper operations, it always works. That's the wonderful thing about math. It always works if you work it properly. And that can be quite comforting once you understand that and once you begin to understand the concepts of mathematics. Now, for a lot of students I see, the problem is that they've moved on in the grades, and maybe they've studied a unit, did the test, did okay, did well, studied a unit, did a test, did okay, studied a unit, did a test, did okay. But as they move up in the grades, sometimes these units start to come together, and of course the questions become more complicated. And now they're running into a lot of trouble. While the problem is that unit by unit by unit, they didn't really fully understand it. They studied it well enough that they could even get an A maybe, but in 3 weeks or 2 months they've forgotten it because they didn't really know it. They just memorized enough of the facts, enough of the models, that they could do really well on the unit test. And this is why, and it often happens around grade 6, 7, 8, the students and parents say, what happened? Their math was so good before. In the early grades they were doing very well, or last year they had no problem, and all of a sudden they're having an issue with math. Well, that's often what it is. They didn't fully understand the math. They understood pieces, they memorized certain pieces, and they were able to get through the unit tests fine. But now it's getting too complicated, too complex. They're having to combine different types of operations, and they're running into a wall. And sometimes you can feel like you're banging your head against the wall if you don't understand the math, and you need to take a few steps back and pick up the pieces that you're missing, because mathematics is built one skill upon another. And without that foundation, or if that foundation is weak, if it has a lot of holes in it, like Swiss cheese, it really doesn't stand up well to the grade 7 math, grade 8 math, and then on to secondary school math. It's going to be very difficult for you to do well. Again, grade 9, if you got 50% or 55%, you're going into grade 10, and you only know half at best of the math that you did last year. So that's not sufficient either. So go back, build up that foundation. Doesn't matter how far you need to go back. You can do this and practice, get that stronger. And then you're going to see that the so-called complicated questions are really just a collection of a lot of the simpler math that you just didn't grasp fully before. So don't be afraid of math. Math can really work well for you. It's easier to get a 100% on a math test than it is on an English essay. Trust me on that. It's very hard to get a perfect mark. But if you have all the correct answers on a math test, then it is 100%. Sometimes you have to show your work, and there's marks for that. Sometimes you have to write answers, so I suppose you could lose a few subjective marks there. But for the most part, it's objective, and if you have the right answer, you're going to get the mark. So try to feel more compassionate about math. Try to get interested in it. Try to work on it step by step. Don't panic, and if you need to go back a few steps and pick up some math, do so. A tutor can be very helpful. You know I have to mention that, and I'm here to help you if you want. I will put a link to the website below. I will put a link to the blog below as well. It's all about math too, and there's a little bit of more or different information on the blog if you're interested in looking there. And in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Don't forget to subscribe, to like the video, make a comment or ask a question if you like, or you can even send me an email. Again, it's Ron from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye for now.